Welcome everyone to the finals of the FIDE World Cup 2025. On your screen is Grandmaster Wei Yi. What a crazy run he has had at the FIDE World Cup. It's been absolutely amazing and incredible. After beating Arjun Erigaisi in the quarterfinals, he managed to get the better of Andrei Esipenko. And one of the things that has been truly amazing about Wei Yi is his ability to keep calm under pressure, to make those moves when there's just 1 second left on the clock. I mean, he has nerves of steel. He has this ability to remain calm even in the most stressful of moments, and that's what has won hearts everywhere. But his opponent, well, he is the 19-year-old super talent from Uzbekistan, in fact 20 I believe. And there he is, Javokhir Sindarov, Uzbek number 2, very close to becoming Uzbek number 1 at this point. Sindarov is someone whom we saw growing up at a very young age, and we have here the opening move to be made by the guest of honor, and it is none other than the great Abhinav Bindra, who has come all the way to make the opening move. Abhinav Bindra, a legend in Indian sporting world, getting the first individual Olympic gold for the country in 10-meter rifle shooting at the Olympics. Uh, well, what can we say? Just an absolutely incredible personality. And he shakes hands and asks Sindarov which move to play, and he plays his pawn to e4, shakes hands with Javokhir, and needs to keep the pawn there. Take some pictures with the opening move, and also shakes hands with Wei Yi. And it's a great achievement by the All India Chess Federation to get Abhinav Bindra to make the opening move. Amazing. Now Javokhir Sindarov gets ready, so does Wei Yi, and the game begins with pawn to e4. e4 played here, and Wei Yi responds back with e5. Well, it's kind of well known that he will play the Petroff here, which he does. Knight to f6, not a surprise. He's played this in this tournament. d4 is the move that Sindarov chooses, and Wei chops off the pawn on e4. Petroff is such a difficult opening to kind of break through. d5 played here by Wei Yi. And now knight takes on e5. Wei Yi brings his knight to d7. It was also like an opening where white can come up with some new ideas, deep preparation, and that can pose some problems to the opponent. So knight takes knight, takes back, and knight comes to c5, attacking the bishop. The bishop does not move. Generally bishop e2 is played. He goes f4. Black takes the bishop, now has the bishop pair. Queen takes on d3, and he plays pawn to g6, stopping f5, trying to get the bishop to f5 himself. Bishop e3 played, and pawn to c5. Very interesting setup here. Black has two pawns in the center. Knight c3 is a new idea played here, and it actually allows d4, which Wei quickly plays, attacking the two pieces. Is it actually a piece blunder here? No. Knight e4, and the point is, if you take, I go knight f6, king e7, queen b5, and somehow this king is very weak. So bishop e7 played, and now bishop to f2. Plays the bishop out to f5, pinning the knight on e4. And now queen comes back to e2. Wei Yi castles here as black. And you can see both the players are super well prepared. G4 even in this line, which actually has not been played before, and bishop d7. Wei Yi wants to keep the bishop. Bishop e4, queen e4 would have been a small edge to white. So bd7, bishop g3, and now d3. What a beautiful move here by Wei Yi. Such good preparation. Pawn takes pawn, and his idea is that he wants to play f5. Amazing. If pawn takes pawn, he would take back. So he does opposite, and now you can see after bishop f6 that you get the d4 square, the pawn sack which was made, which is amazing. Sindarov now brings his rook to e1, and Wei Yi gives a check. Bishop f2 and bishop to b5. Excellent play by black, threatening to take on f2, and on d3 f4 pawn is a bit soft. Sindarov goes queen f3, does defend the f4 pawn, but now bishop takes b2 taken, and this is hanging. If you take, I guess taking on c5 seems like the right move. Then you have bishop d4 check, but Sindarov now is planning to move his rook. He goes rook b1, and he tells his opponent that you're losing a piece. So queen takes d3 taken. Now the queen is hanging, so he takes the queen. Bishop takes queen, attacking the rook and the knight, and rook b2. A very good move here is rook takes f4, keeping the pressure here, but he takes on e4. That's not a good move. Like a potential line could very well have been knight c5, rook g4, bg3, and this would have been like a very smooth edge for black, but Wei Yi misses it, and after bishop c5, rook c8, bd4, we now reach an opposite colored bishop endgame, which is very drawish in nature. Rook c4. I mean, black could potentially try a bit because of the queen side majority a bit, but rook d8. I mean, this pawn is defended, by the way, on b7 by the bishop on e4. Sindarov now plays, well, he's not so sure here, but he plays pawn to h3. Rook comes into d3. And rook to b3, offering a trade. Rook comes to c2. It's getting quite intense. Rook takes rook. Threat of check maybe. Yeah, he gives a check. Whew. King h1. And now rook takes g4 taken. A pawn is taken. And I believe rook gf3. Because if king h2, there's rook g2. Followed by rook g3 and picking up the rook. And black is clearly better. So rook f3. Rook g3 played. And now Wei Yi is a pawn up. But Sindarov has some drawing chances, like very good drawing chances, because of opposite colored bishops. So takes, bishop takes on f3. I mean, Wei Yi is still pressing a bit because of the extra pawn, but this should be drawn logically. I think for Wei Yi, the big chance was rook takes f4. Missing that was not very pleasant. King f7. And he could have actually thought there he had the time on the clock. King g3. Bishop goes back to c6. Attacking the pawn. Pawn pushes forward even further. b5 played here by Wei Yi. And takes. Pawn takes, And now king f2. So one question is, where do you put your king, because the black king is ready to march here. King e6, king to e3, and bishop to g2, attacking the pawn here on h3. Pawn to h4 played, and now king f5. Bishop comes further ahead, and king g4. Oof. Black is pressing here. One mistake and it could all be over. And remember guys, this is the final, so one loss here and then you just need a draw tomorrow with the white pieces for Wei Yi. So bishop g5, defending the pawns, making sure that the king can start running on the other side. b4, king comes to d2, and now is there any way in which black can create some chances, because the white king is now engaged with the b pawn, so you can protect it. That's what he does. And now the next idea is to create a passer here. It's very important. King b2, and maybe the idea is very interesting. If you waste time now, let's say king c3, there's a winning idea. h6, bishop f6, king g4, bishop g7, g5, h5, and then I take this, and h pawn is a passer. So but if you see, he immediately finds bishop f6, bishop e6, king c3. And the point here is that after h6, now you instantly go bishop g7. Don't allow the king to come to g4. So if you do that, you are in big trouble. Yes, bishop g7, good move. Because after g5, fg, there is no longer h5 in the position. The king takes that square, and a draw is agreed by the players. Very interesting here game, and I'm pretty sure that Javokhir is relieved with what happened. And you can see Wei Yi talking about this move, g5, this idea which we just spoke about, which was so beautiful. Just to show you guys this theme, because it's very cool. King h5, if you waste time with king c3, then h6, bishop f6, king g4. Now this is hanging, so you can go to g7, g5. If you take here, h5 is winning, and if you take fg, h5, and I mean, this position does look like you have a pawn, but it's all protected on this one diagonal, and then the h pawn just runs through. So was possible to go wrong, but of course Javokhir did not, and Wei Yi accepts the draw. We go into the second game, where Wei Yi will have the white pieces, and we'll see if this match gets over in 2 classical games or goes into the tie break. The latter seems more likely to me, but you never know. The World Cup is super unpredictable format.